With my summer of mileage just around the corner, I needed to invest in some running shoes that would get the job done when it came to comfort and enjoyment. And in my opinion, they could just be the best mileage shoes that you would buy in 2025. And on top of that, my running shoe budget has absolutely been blown, spending over £300 in the previous 7 days on a new racing shoe that might just supersede this thing. Now, of course, there are some exciting running shoe releases coming up within the next 7 to 14 days. Of course, we've got the Adidas Boston 13, we've got the New Balance Rebel version 5, both of which have been on my radar. But I decided to go with these shoes, which we'll get straight into now. Oh, and of course, before I forget, I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. What is the one that you are going to right now that is logging the majority of your miles? Please do let everyone know. It'd be great to share that down there. So first up, back into the rotation comes the Adidas Evo SL. Yes, I have got myself another pair, courtesy of Tim Gross. Now, if you don't know Tim's a great YouTuber. He's also a fellow UK size 13 runner, and he picked up this pair of Adidas Evo SL not too long ago, and he's been testing them, but he's not enjoyed them that much. He ended up putting around 68 miles in the shoe. I offered to take them off his hand. Unfortunately for me, he accepted my offer. Now, of course, I have paid Tim for these shoes, and I've also paid Tim for the next pair of shoes as well. So I do want to give a shout out to Tim. Do go and check out his channel. He reviews far more shoes than me. And again, he's a great runner, a great chap. He's got big feet just like me. So yeah, go and check out his channel as well. So very grateful to pick up these. As I said, he'd only put 68 miles in them so far. So I'm hoping to get a good 250 miles out of them before I can retire them. And a quick overview of how I hope to use them in my summer of mileage. So in terms of my training and what I have got coming up, I'm going to be doing some double threshold work throughout the summer, which is what I did last summer, and of course what I did back in 2022. I found last year that the Adios Pro 3 were an absolute godsend when it came to providing the recovery benefits, because of course I personally find this Lightstrike Pro foam to be absolutely incredible when it comes to recovery as well as performance. Plus the rods in the Pro 3 were just really good to add a little bit of extra pop when your legs are feeling a bit tired, but of course they're very natural because they work with the tune of each metatarsal in your foot rather than just having that stiff, rigid carbon plate. So I found great success with that, and as I've mentioned many times before, I actually managed to put up to 500 miles in that shoe before retiring it. Along came the Evo SL, a little bit more comfortable upper, same stack height as the Pro 3, just without the carbon rods in it, very much more geared up to be a daily trainer, and I've loved it. I had my first pair, as you guys have seen on the channel. I've logged a ton of miles in that shoe. So how I want to use this one is on my morning double threshold sessions when I'm doing that more LT1 relaxed effort, and of course maybe out on some of those long runs as well. That'll share some miles with the shoe that you're about to see next, the second one that I've got back into the rotation. And of course I'll drop some easy miles into there as well. I have been using the On Cloud Surfer 2 recently as well, whilst my previous pair of Evo SL got retired, and in between that and getting this pair, and they've been doing really great, so they'll still stay in the mix. But I've got to be honest with you, there's nothing quite like the Evo SL. And I know the majority of you do enjoy this shoe, so it's great to hear your thoughts on some of my previous videos, but of course I do know a lot of you that are not a fan of it, including Tim, which is why I've ended up with his pair of shoes. So once again, a massive thanks, Tim, for these. And yes, the second pair of shoes to come back into the rotation is the Adidas Adios Pro 3. So as I've just said, you guys know my love for this shoe. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've managed to snag myself another pair, courtesy once again of Tim Gross. So when I was talking to Tim, I was actually asking him first of all about the Adios Pro 3. He then threw in the Evo SL for me, and I picked them both up from him for 60 quid, which I'm absolutely delighted about. Bearing in mind that Evo SL has only 68 miles in them, so I should get 200-ish, 250 maybe miles out of those. And these have around 270, 280 miles in them. But of course, I've got 500 out of my last pair. So for 60 quid, I'm hoping that I can get a couple of hundred out of these, a couple of hundred out of those, and it will be the best £60 that I spend this year. So I've been talking to a couple of athletes in particular over the last couple of months, and one of them has shared quite a strong view. You know who you are, and it's all about basically super trainers and super shoes. And they've kind of gone down the route of, why are we wasting our money on these super trainers that companies are buying? Why aren't we just waiting for last season's models and just buying them to use in training, like an old pair of Alpha Flies or an old pair of Vaporflies, whatever it might be? They always go down on discount. Why are we wasting our money on these training versions? And I must admit, I'm starting to agree with him on that point of view, because the Pro 3 for me last year, obviously it's a racing shoe, but I used this heavily in training. I didn't end up racing in it, but it took up so many miles last year. And there is no training shoe, there is no super trainer trainer that I have seen, tested, or would want to pick up over this thing. So what I'm hoping for over the next couple of months, as I said, to log some good miles in this shoe, some of those LT2 sessions, some of those long runs, and basically just use it a little bit more sparingly to try and eke this one out and mix it up with the Evo SL. It's going to be the best investment I think that I've made all year, and I'm hoping that these two shoes will get me through the next couple of months of higher mileage training. But most of my budget has been blown on a new super shoe. Now, of course, if you've been following the channel, you'll know this has been an absolute incredible beast of a shoe that I still think is the best value super shoe you guys can buy this year. It retails at $194.99. You can get 15% discounts off it wherever it might be. Yes, I appreciate stock isn't as readily available as other super shoes, but if you can grab yourself a pair, you will end up spending around £165 for me what is one of the best shoes. I actually laced up the Vaporfly version 2 last week for a session because I was just trying to rotate some of the shoes. And instantly, within the first mile, I thought, God, I wish I was wearing the Puma. You get the same effectiveness, the same snappiness, responsiveness as that Vaporfly, yet it feels much less harsh. I feel like I notice the plate a little bit more in the Vaporfly now that I've been using this. The foam in the Pumas are absolutely incredible. So these have been absolutely fantastic. And why would I want to replace them? Well, I do now have over 100 miles in these shoes in racing. They do not feel like they're giving up the ghost anytime soon. I do feel like I can continue racing in them. However, I am excited, hopefully, fingers crossed, to announce that I have managed to pick up the Puma Farstar Nitro Elite 3. Puma dropped the minty fresh colorway at midnight on Wednesday, and I stayed up late to grab what looked to be the only size 13 pair. If you missed my community post about a month ago, me and Tim both stayed up for the launch of the original pair. We both got online at 12 o'clock, and I think Tim managed to snag the 13s and I didn't. There probably was 2 or 3 pairs on there, but there definitely wasn't much stock because when I was trying to check out, it told me that the stock had disappeared and I couldn't buy it. But Tim was successful. Well, this time my order looks to have gone through. I have paid full dollar for this without discount, £260, and I'm excited to see what this shoe is all about and if it lives up to the hype. There are, of course, some great super shoes on the market right now. I've been really tempted to try plenty of them, but the one I've really wanted that would match up as a competitor to this potentially would have been the Pro 4 from Adidas, and of course they're still not doing that in a UK size 13.5. It's a 14 or a 13, and that's just basically too big and too small. So I've gone with the Puma. There's absolutely no reason for me not to. The DV8 Nitro Elite 3 has been absolutely incredible. We have all seen the hype around this Farstar Nitro Elite 3. I have spoken to so many of you guys who were lucky enough to pick up a pair of these shoes, and of course, if you are one of those people, do drop a comment and let me know how you are getting on with them as well. I am super excited to get my testing in them as well. You have all said they are absolutely mind-blowingly good, and I have not heard one negative word about them. So fingers crossed, these will be the new racing shoes going into summer. And as I mentioned, potentially a Boston 13 coming in for testing at some point, maybe a Rebel 5. We'll have to see what sizes drop if they are in my size. New Balance is a bit hit and miss. I am really keen on testing out the Rebel, but to be honest with you, I really have blown my budget. So if you feel kind enough, once you finish watching this video, just play it on repeat again so I can get a little bit more AdSense revenue and save up for some of those shoes. That was a joke, by the way, but it wasn't really. So speaking of races, I'm hopefully going to see some of you guys out there on the summer circuit in terms of the lower key races. I've got some bigger races coming in the autumn, hopefully. I say bigger, some longer distance stuff. I am going to keep it relatively local over the summer, probably do some Rosin relay races, maybe the last Hereford, maybe a Safa race, Magor 10k. I'm still waiting for Bristol Track Club to drop their summer race series, and I might look at dropping into some of those Run for Wales races across the summer as well, some of those 10k. If you guys have any recommendations in the southwest of any races, I'd be more than happy to jump into them. I'm not averse to travelling, of course, to races, but this summer I'm pretty much thinking that I want to train through the majority of these races. I'm prioritising my training load. That's going to be the key for me, so I'm not really looking to have any goals set over the summer. Just get some good races under my belt in amongst some really good training. We can save the bigger stuff for the end of the year. So those are all my recent running shoe purchases wrapped up. Very grateful to Tim once again. Don't forget to check out his channel, and hopefully whilst I have been waffling on about my mileage shoes that I've got coming this summer, which I have to say, I genuinely feel like I have got two of the best mileage shoes that I could want for 2025 summer. I know the Evo SL is technically maybe a drip feed launch last year. The main launch has been this year, and I know that Adios Pro 3 is old, but those two shoes for me are an absolute dream, especially I feel for a bigger runner. That Lightstrike Pro is just probably the best midsole out there for me. I'll throw it back out to you guys. What is going to be your mileage shoe this summer? What are you training for? And of course, what are going to be your go-to shoes? What have you been loving this year? Have you been a massive fan of the Evo SL, or really has that been a miss for you? What's been your replacement? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, one shoe that's really divided opinion recently, especially for me, a shoe that I absolutely love running in, but it just does not cut it for racing, is the Nike Vaporfly 4. Check out my thoughts on that shoe up here. That's been a really interesting one to test. Or if you fancy hopping into the Strava debate, check out this video down here. That one's gone a little bit wild. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on that one down there, and I'll see you guys over there.